UN Copter Coverups for November 6th. At 10:03 a.m., a dark helicopter mobbed up Eldorado Park at the same speed as the June 1st copter, except that it was flying in the opposite direction, so it flew up the park towards Montevideo Elementary School. And I drew a picture of the model, and recently they've started combining parts of different helicopters, not just tuning them differently and not just painting them differently and mixing them up. They've actually combined parts. The other day I saw one of the UN copter tails on, I think, like the blue flimsy small model, and so this one seemed to have a tail, but I drew the picture of the head, and I'm not sure how to explain it. Anyways, I showed the course, the path where it took, so that they couldn't take that helicopter and use it and fabricate evidence and say, oh, this happened in the past. It happens all the time. At 3:52 p.m., they sent a helicopter really low and fast over my head. But right before that, since everything's taken out of context, there was a surge of insanity. There were all different kinds of aircrafts, planes harassing the hell out of me, and Cessnas that wouldn't leave, and they were just harassing me until my storage was full. And I was having a really hard time keeping my phone battery up, and so it was incredibly low. And then they sent a helicopter, and it mobbed right over the two-story house and directly over my head. So I only had a second to see it, and as it was coming in, it seemed like a black copter with, I think it had a reddish top, but I didn't get to see the sides, so I'm not sure what the side was like. And so I didn't record it from directly beneath, because I'm not going to stand there and record a helicopter for them so they can be like, look, see, it's just the same as the June 1st, and that's all that ever happened. Because I was told by people like Jolio that everyone knew what was going on, and I didn't have to make my own evidence. And if that wasn't the case, I would have hundreds of videos of the UN copter doing insane stuff. But even if I had that, it would be an argument. You can't prove it. So it came straight over the two-story house, and I showed the line, the pathway, so that they couldn't fabricate it, because recently they're starting to celebrate things that I don't understand how their celebrations, like the video of the military copter turn with the wheels, like it still showed up on my phone. It wasn't perfect, but they're like, yes, now we have that, we're going to change the dates. And there was a couple other instances like that, and so I showed the pathways so that people would know, because that's the only helicopter that's flown low and in that line. Came over the two-story house, right over my head, and straight out into the park. And then at 4:11 p.m., a helicopter flew up the park, and this is what I mean about changing parts. It was black, but it had the blue conical top of the flimsy blue helicopter. And so it kind of flew up the curvature of the park, and then it did a slight ascension as if it was clearing large trees, and it continued out over Oliveira de Seo intersection towards Alicia Park, and it was waving. So it seemed to be an all-black helicopter, small helicopter with a conical top. So it wasn't a fade, it was just parts. And then at 4:15 p.m., I think this is because at 3:52 I said it has a red top, but I couldn't confirm because of how fast it came in. And so that maybe it was like, oh, yes, you're correct, and it was only this. So that way they could take that video and say, look, this happened far in the past, because he just identified this red, gray, black helicopter, and it was flying out, and now it flew back. And I think that's why they flew it out the way they did. And it flew out at a high speed, similar to the June 1st UN helicopter threat. And so this helicopter had a red top, the tail was red, and then it had a gray middle part, and then a black bottom. And I'll have to draw a picture. It was a smaller helicopter, like the picture that I described about the 10:03 a.m. one. It was kind of similar to that, but slightly smaller. And so it flew in a diagonal from 24091 down the street, then crossed over behind my house. And then it turned weird because I jumped the wall, and then it continued mobbing straight. And so that was the new red helicopter route. They've done that for a while now, mobbed them back there. And a lot of them respond to me when I jump the wall and try to record them. They move.